Hey, what's up? It's me again. So this video is actually the continuation of the last video that I uploaded a little over a week at this point. The reason it took me a little longer than usual, not that I ever upload on time, but I do have 3 rolls that I do want to show you, whoever you are, in this video. I've been taking an awful lot of pictures in the last couple of weeks, which has been a change of pace because I kind of did take like a month from not taking any photos. Not for any specific reason, but I'm getting off topic. To recap, in case you didn't watch that last video, I'm still in downtown Brownsville, but at this point I'm using 2 rolls of color, which is Portrait 400 and Portrait 800. Those are 2 of the rolls. That last roll is another roll of Portrait 400 that I shot last week, so 2 weeks after the recording of this video. I'm confusing myself. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy the photos and I hope you enjoy the video. As always, if you want to. Shortly after finishing my roll of HP5, I really debated if I should keep taking photos in the exact same location or if I should just call it a day and go home. I'm not gonna say I wish I just went home, but I didn't go home. This roll is Portrait 800, and if I'm being honest, it's not my best. I say this because at this point I was pretty worn out of being in a bunch of one-way roads, and my composition started getting a little lackluster, if you will. Why did I say lackluster? I don't even use lackluster. My composition started getting pretty boring, pretty bland, and I just don't like them. That goes without saying. I do like some of these photos, but I mean, they're just nice to look at. I don't personally think they're enough to go on my Instagram or a portfolio or a website, which I do not have. If photography isn't enough for you, next week's video is actually going to be on how I personally open up portals to an alternate dimension in which you're actually happy. This isn't about me, by the way. I honestly don't know what happened here. I'm pretty sure it's just dust, or I don't know, maybe I smudged it when the film was drying. But it's too intricate of a dust pattern for me to clean out, so I just left it in there. Out of this roll, this one is definitely my favorite. The composition is okay at best, but the colors are very nice and very soft. And for some reason, I really do remember seeing that a lot when I was a kid. So if you were to take something away from this video, it should definitely be to shoot your Portrait 800 first instead of your 400, because that's how light works. Up next is everyone's favorite park, which I've been to plenty of times. That's why I say that. And oddly enough, I was able to recreate some photos that I had previously taken on 35mm. Mind you, it took me a little over a month to actually come back to this location to recreate them on medium format. And I think they turned out pretty okay, but it's pretty negotiable if they're better than the 35mm. Or debatable, not negotiable. At this point in the day, the sun was a little low in the sky, and I was also shooting behind buildings, so I was running pretty tight on light, but it was enough to get properly exposed photos. As for the photos that I recreated, this photo got the nice addition of some trash cans, so I don't know. I honestly feel like I like the 35mm one a little more, simply because the light has a little more character in this photo. The medium format one is a little too soft at this point, or flat, and by flat, I mean there's just little to no character in the lighting. This one's also pretty nice. My opinion still stands on the whole. It's a little too flat to have enough character, but this one does look a little nice in my opinion because, I don't know, I feel like this photo complements itself well with its light. By the way, I had someone DM me on Instagram over what's the lowest shutter speed that I use on my RB, and I thought that was a really good question because even I myself ask myself that. For reference, I did finish this roll off with this photo at f5.6 at 1/60th of a second, which is a little low for me. It doesn't have enough depth, but again, I was running low on light, so I did have to go down to 5.6. So to answer that question, my literal answer is that I won't go under 1/60th of a second, obviously, but for complete transparency, on this exact roll, I also had a complete dud with this photo because I shot it at 1/60th of a second, and well, it came out blurry, which is to be expected if you're carrying a camera that weighs like a gallon of milk. This last photo is also a recreation of one of the first photos that was ever uploaded on this channel. I took last summer, and honestly, it didn't come out how I wanted it, but I guess it's a fitting way to somewhat evolve this composition. I've changed the way I take photos, the way I scan, the way I develop. My point is, things change and will always change. So here's my photo. Here's a side-by-side comparison. By the way, the first one was taken on 35mm on my Canon AE1, on Portra 400 on my 50mm lens. Okay, so hear me out. This is a completely different day. I actually just finished shooting the Lomo Purple video that hasn't been uploaded yet, but it will. But I shot some photos yesterday at night, and I very irresponsibly decided to push Portra 800 to 1600, so one stop. But with that being said, I still have that roll in here. Yeah, I have 4 frames left. I don't know if I should just give this roll up and have 4 blank shots, or if I should stupidly attempt to shoot in the middle of the day at 1600. For the record, I didn't entirely give up this roll. I actually went through and shot it at 1600 ISO, which was pretty funny. I honestly didn't know what to expect, and they turned out pretty well. I did have to shoot at f22 and f32 at some point, but I mean, contrast-wise and color-wise, there's some pretty interesting effects that aren't super obvious. There's just more saturation in the photo. I don't know, these photos are like a wild card. This is one photo that I shot that I honestly have no idea what was running through my mind when I shot it. Also, by the way, I'm gonna be using the 90mm lens and not the 65 anymore. Up until this point, I've been using the 65, much like last week's video. Without being too repetitive, these photos were shot in the middle of the day. It was like 3 in the afternoon. And the reason I mention that is because I don't shoot often enough in the middle of the day. I always wait for like a sunset, or I shoot at night a little more often. So I was pretty happy with these exposures because, well, they look nice. Other than that, that's the end of the video. These are all the photos that I've shot in the last 2-3 weeks roughly. Well, no, not all of them, but the ones I wanted to show for this video, which are relevant to the location. I hope you enjoyed. Some of these compositions are a little different for me, and the pace that I've been shooting at is also a little different. I'm normally really slow, but I've been taking things pretty fast because I feel like I'm running out of time. I've talked about it, so I'm not gonna mention it, but yeah, I feel like I'm running out of time and I need to take more photos. Before I wrap this up, I do want to mention these photos because they're some of my favorites. They might not be the best, as always, but you know, they're good. I enjoyed shooting them and I enjoyed looking at them. Consider following me on Instagram. My ad is right here, and as always, it's also down in the description. Consider subscribing if you liked today's video. Consider liking the video if you liked today's video. Consider sharing this with your mom, and stay tuned for next week's video. I think I know what it is, but for the past 2 months I've said I know what it is and it's a completely different idea. So for that, I apologize, but I could also care less. Tune in next week. That's what I'm trying to say. By the way, like the video if you like the video, or if you want to. I kind of don't care. Besides that, yeah, say bye.